Good morning, everybody. This is Steve from the Worley Bugger. It's July 13th, 2023, and I am here at Ringer Loop Road at the bottom end of the Farmlands. And you can see the river has a lot of water in it. So normal summer flows happening right now. Lots of folks have been coming into the pro shop the last couple of weeks, and they see the river and think that the river is blown out. But this is normal, actual normal water flow for this time of the year in the Yakima. So moving at a quick pace, cold water, filled bank to bank. So it'll continue to operate like this, well into about the third week of August. And then they'll start dropping it for the flip-flop for fall. So this is normal because of, the need for water in 3 different counties for irrigators, farmers, ranchers, pulling water. That actually makes ideal conditions for trout fishery. So when it's starting to heat up, we're gonna start seeing temperatures around the triple digits over the weekend and maybe even into next week. In a lot of rivers, the water temperatures go way up, and rivers go into what they call hoot owl conditions, which is basically a fishing restriction. You can fish from early morning until early afternoon, and then it's closed. So our river runs with such a high volume of water, and it's cold. The dissolved oxygen content remains high. And we'll take it this summer. I'll get with my good buddy, fisheries biologist from Grant County, Dave Duval, and we'll show you how we measure those dissolved oxygen contents and water temperatures. So it really kind of makes the Yakima a pretty unique fishery. There's not many around the West that operate like this. So but also you can see, like, with so much water, without a boat, you're gonna have a really hard time just getting a good drift, and then fighting all the brush. You can see how thick the brush grows this time of year along the banks of the river. So kind of another ideal situation for us and for the trout of the Yakima. So as we start seeing those warm temperatures get up in the 90s or even triple digit marks, our aquatic hatches really become pretty sparse. I mean, there might be a few bugs around, kind of tail end of PMDs now, a few yellow sallies around, a few green drakes, still a few lingering golden stones too, but it's starting to get real minimal. So when we start to get all these big thick bank grasses like this, the trout really start to turn their attentions to, hoppers, ants, beetles, and then, all the non-aquatic little critters that, are living in the grass along the river. So really becomes kind of a big searching river, through July and August. Might come out on the river and not see a trout rise all day, but they will come up for dry flies. So we use a lot of patterns, like attractors, we call them. Attractor patterns. They're, flies that aren't made to duplicate like one certain insect, like a caddis or a mayfly or a stonefly. They just represent kind of a food form, and that's been going on throughout the entire history of fly fishing. Some of the most popular patterns, in history are attractor patterns like Royal Coachman, Royal Trude, the Adams, Parachute Adams, Renegade. I mean, the list goes on and on with these flies that are just really made to look like, you know, some type of bug on the water, and fish want to eat it. So this time of year really becomes that kind of a fishery, a big searching river, you know, casting in along the edges of the grass, fishing the foam lines, the current lines, hopper dropper. So as we start to see these temperatures come up, it's going to push the grasshoppers to the edges of the river, and they'll be in the grass. And then hopper fishing will get really good, you know, especially in places like this where there's, you know, lots of grass along the banks. It's a fun time of the year, you know, to fish the Yakima and fish dry flies. Getting your fly in, you know, lots of targets, you know, with moving water from the boat. So really a great time to enhance your skills, work on your coordination with the fly rod, work on your casting, you know, and then work on your precision, getting the fly where it needs to be. It's really important aspect of, you know, becoming a well-rounded fly fisherman. So lots of people heading over to the Natchez too. You know, the last word I got about a day or so ago from some folks in is that Rattlesnake Creek's still pumping out, you know, quite a bit of color. So you'd want to fish probably, it sounded like it was getting better, but you're probably going to want to fish above that. Maybe over the next few days we'll see that start to clear and get better, but it's also been fishing good. And there's some little tributaries there too that you can hit, like the Titan, the American, the Bumping. Make sure you look at the regulations there, because there's some salmon restrictions and some river closures of parts of the river that you can fish, other parts that you can't. And then here, you know, there's always, you know, you can go in and fish the upper Clay Elm. The Teanaway now is getting to a point where it's pretty low and it's warm, so you'd have to go way up into the Teanaway really to find good trout fishing. Anything down below where the confluence hits the Yakima is not going to be good. It's too low and too warm. But lots of little creek fishing, you know, going on. A few people going over to Rocky Ford, but, you know, I wouldn't encourage anybody, you know, to go there. It's really any more kind of I hate to tell anybody that it's a waste of time, but it's really gone downhill in a big way. The fisheries department is just kind of let it lie as we speak. So this is going to be kind of the mainstay for about the next month or so. You see the river start dropping off. You know, Aaron has reported that you know, there's still some stuff moving around in the river. You can see, like, right across here, see that big tree. So in the upper river, there's a few river blockages that you have to really pay attention to. You know, and this time of year with this big high volume, it does create some erosion, and it'll rip trees, you know, from the bank. Plus we got a lot of beavers, you know, and they're always knocking trees down, you know, knocking them into the river. So you might go through one section one day, and the next day it's completely different. There might be some trees down. So you always got to have a heads up in this big water, you know, and be prepared. You know, always look ahead. But yeah, there are a few river blockages up in the South Clay Elm to East Clay Elm area of the river there. And this time of year too, that boat launch at East Clay Elm is really tough. And just a heads up too, you know, below East Clay Elm, that tends to be kind of a hazard area too, in the main stem there just below the boat launch. So it's well advised to take the right channel this time of year, just to be on the safe side and avoid any unnecessary problems. Want to live to fish another day, so if you have any questions, feel free to call the pro shop. As always, I'll help you out with whatever you need. Want to get a day on the books, give us a jingle, get some summer fishing going. Love to have you. Hope everybody's enjoying their summer. Just the start. We got a lot of fishing days ahead of us, so everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the river.